Freemasonry, the relationship with Rotary and Lions. Excerpt from his forthcoming book on Rotary and Lions, Freemasonry and Rotary. Since the founding of Rotary, much has been said about its relationship with Freemasonry. Below we present relevant information and leave the conclusion to the reader. A. Founder Paul Harris was a Freemason and was inspired by syncretistic ideas, which have been present in Rotary since its inception. In addition, he was a member of an occult group called the Bohemian Club. 1. This is a religious community that worships a huge statue in the form of an owl called Moloch II. B. One of the founders, Gustav Lehr III, was also a Mason, as were many of the first Rotarians. C. In the early years, Rotary meetings were held in Masonic lodges. 4. D. A founding member and first president of the Athens Rotary Club was the Freemason Spiridon Lovados. 5. The first governor of Rotary Greece in 1960. 197th district was elected in America by the Freemason St. Makrimichalos VI. The commander of Rotary Greece in 1973, D. Sirapinus, was a Mason, according to a photograph in a Masonic publication. 7. Information about Sirapinus's Masonic status is also found in an article by the late Metropolitan of Aetolia and Acarnania, Mr. Theokritos, in the Orthodox Press 8. G. The prominent Mason of Kavala, Platon K. Papanikolaou, is mentioned in a Masonic publication as having served the Rotary Club of Kavala for 42 years, as its president. 9. H. Emmanuel Delegas, 33rd degree Mason and State Viceroy of the Grand Order of the International Masonic Order, Delphi, has been president of the Rotary Club of Chania for many years. 10. I. The emblem of Rotary and the Lions was published in 1932 by the well-known publishing company, Merriam Company, later Merriam-Webster, along with those of related Masonic, official and unofficial fraternities. 11. J. The official Masonic magazine Pythagoras, issue 105, 2015. 251 reports that Greek Freemasonry made a donation of $1,500 to the Ecumenical Patriarchate through the Rotary Club of Kavala in the years 1995 to 1996. K. The Austrian Masonic writer Eugenius Lenhoff, in his 1929 book, The Freemasons D.A. Freimaurer, mentions that in the USA there were special lodges for members of Rotary 12. The Facebook profile of the Grand Lodge of Lebanon reveals the Rotarian Lodge of London, Rotarian Lodge number 4195, founded in 1920, and its badge 13, a combination of the Masonic and Rotary emblems. The same profile acknowledges the relationship of Rotary and other service, charitable organizations with Freemasonry, although these organizations are not officially called Masonic forces. 7 other Rotarian lodges, 14 under the jurisdiction of the United Grand Lodge of England, are also named. The last 5 of these were founded in the last 20 years. 15. M. The Roman Catholic cleric Rosario Esposito, 16, who led the Vatican Freemasonry dialogue after the Second Vatican Council, and in the 1970s writes, "The existing relationship between the organization and Freemasonry is structural, not only because of its founding on February 23, 1905 by the lawyer Paul Harris of Chicago and 3 of his fellow Masons, but also because of the ideological and institutional imprint of the club, which takes the best part of the initiatory message to introduce it into society by secularizing it, that is, excluding the restrictive and initiatory aspects, the which always, excluding purely religious confession, have a specific sacred, albeit secular, character." 17. It is worth noting that the Roman Catholic community initially took a negative stance towards Rotary due to its relationship with Freemasonry. Over time, and with the immersion of the papacy in the spirit of the New Age, Rotary gradually began to be accepted. N. The Masons admit that Freemasonry promotes its goals through public benefit organizations, not officially Masonic. In the magazine Pythagoras, issue 8 1930, p. 13, we read the Mason, as his past also assures us, when he was about to get actively involved in any humanitarian, liberating, social, and reforming movement, he hid, not of course out of fear, but out of duty, behind special associations established and strengthened by him. O. The internationally recognized non-denominational Encyclopedia of Religion by Macmillan, 2005, 18 states. Freemasonry has also provided a structure or working model for secret organizations. During the 19th century, many new fraternal orders were created, which in some way derived from Freemasonry. The Knights of Columbus is a Masonic order for Catholics only, and the B'nai B'rith order has a Jewish clientele. There is an endless list of these, including the Old Fellows, the Elks, the Moose, the Rotary, the Kiwanis, the Lions, and the Eagles. Even such occult groups as Gardner's Magic, the Theosophical Society, and the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn are not immune to Masonic influence. 19 Bede. P. The Rotary Club of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, USA, displays the granite signpost at the entrance to the town, where the emblems of Freemasonry, Rotary, and Lions have been hung together. 20. Q. Rotary invites as a speaker the philosopher and no-politics consultant Nicholas Lau 21, who is the lifelong international president of the Illuminati Masonic Society and the author of many books of Masonic content. Beyond the above documented evidence, we see many similarities in the philosophy and practices of the Masonic Lodge with the Rotary Club. R. They pray to an indefinite God. S. They follow a ritual. T. They maintain a hierarchy. Their members come from high society. VB. There is a ceremony of admission of new members' converts. In fact, when a new member enters a Rotary or Lions Club, he is introduced by a sponsor, just as happens during the baptism of a Christian. Local Rotary and Lions clubs receive a nickname according to the practice of Masonic lodges, for example, Anatolia Club, etc. Rotary, Norsos, etc. Lions. K. Their members maintain secret relationships of professional and social solidarity. Y. Their vision is the brotherhood of peoples and the unification of nations and religions. KT. They have the same apologetics. They claim that they are charitable institutions, that they do not contradict Christianity, etc. Sex. They claim that they can improve society and improve each individual without God. Despite all of the above, Rotarians deny that they have any connection with Freemasonry. As theologian Meister Katramados writes, their official texts systematically avoid religious references. They usually appear as non-religious organizations, as Freemasonry also does. However, distinguished scholars of these organizations, N. Psaroudakis, Var, Eleutherios, Hatsis, etc., are absolutely certain of their connection with Freemasonry, and Freemasonry is a religious organization, while our Orthodox Church views them with great suspicion and forbids its members from participating in them. The professor of the Higher Ecclesiastical School of Crete, Mr. Aristophanes Zampakidis, writes, Freemasonry, which has a religious pagan character, subsequently invented other channels and introduced its mystical and secretive worldview to wider strata through organizations such as Rotary, Lions, etc., from where it attracts followers. 22. Of course, with what we have mentioned in the previous chapters, there is no need to prove any direct connection between Rotary and Freemasonry in order to establish that Rotary is problematic from a Christian perspective. Because, in the matters in which Freemasonry becomes incompatible with the status of a Christian, Rotary presents no difference. Its tactics and its worldview are Masonic, even if, as Rotarians claim, they have no direct connection with Freemasonry. Thus, a Christian who does not agree with Freemasonry for specific reasons should, according to common sense, for the same reason not agree with Rotary. The late professor of the Theological School of the University of Athens, Konstantinos Moratidis, writes in this regard in his report to the dean of the school on August 12, 1970. Ultimately, Freemasonry seeks to attract and conquer Christians by essentially alienating them from their Savior Jesus Christ, since entry into the lodges is free for Christians, but not for Jesus Christ. If Jesus is placed outside the space where truth and spiritual perfection and the moral completion of man are sought, then what other space is left for Jesus Christ? Correspondingly, in Rotary, even if we accept that it has no direct connection with Freemasonry, the same exclusion of Christ applies. Jacques Mitterrand, 23. Grand Master of the Grand Orient of France has stated, for a Freemason, someone who questions the doctrine is a Freemason without an apron. With these words, he aptly commented on the papacy's renewal movement, which emerged from the Second Vatican Council, 1962 to 1969. Ionis. The International Lions Club has a similar action and philosophy to Rotary, but with significantly smaller activity in Greece. Its founder is the American Melvin Jones, a prominent businessman who realized that people who have intelligence and ambition could join forces to achieve much. 24. Inspired by this idea, Jones founded the Lions Club International on June 7, 1917, as we read in his biography from the Masonic Lodge, Glendora Masons, of which he was a member. He was initiated into Freemasonry in 1906 in the Lodge of Garden City in Illinois, USA. While his name is on the list of famous Masons 25, Jones's Masonic roots were transferred to the Lions. The philosophy of Lionism has deep anthropocentric roots, believes in man, and advocates hope for a better tomorrow. 26. The purpose of the organization is to provide services to people without discrimination in their political, religious, racial beliefs, or the personal interests of their members. Today, the organization has grown and has reached 1,500,000 members in 192 countries and geographical areas. 27. In the French Masonic Encyclopedia, Dictionnaire Universel de Navarre, Volume 2, page 11, 4328, it is stated that Rotary is an organization just like the Lions. Therefore, much of what was written in the chapter on Rotary also applies to Lions, so to avoid repetition, we will not refer again to the issues of fasting, ostentatious charity, the indefinite God, undogmatic ethics, elitism, the promotion of New Age practices, yoga, the Lotki movement, etc. The following speech given on February 3, 2004 by Mason James F. Kirk White to the Lions of the Muskoka region of Canada, entitled Joint Action of Freemasonry with Your Community, is fully enlightening. This speech provides very useful information about both Lions and Masonry. Lions Chairman and fellow Lions, tonight I have been asked to speak to you on the subject of Freemasonry in general, and the Masonic Lodge at Berks Falls in particular. I would like to begin by noting that many current and former members of this Lions Club were also Freemasons, and as you will soon discover, it is from the beginning that these thinking people of the community wear two such hats. They have these two qualities of Mason and Lion in order to enjoy a full life. Let us proceed by comparing the structure of our two great organizations, beginning with the qualifications for membership. Lions Club membership is open to men and women and has subsidiary groups, such as Leos Lionesses and Leonettes. The existence of women's groups dates back to a time when Lions Clubs were an all-male organization. Membership is now gender-neutral, something that was established by the bylaws and by its charter several years ago. Masonic membership is predominantly male. Although women have joined over the years, they are the exception rather than the rule. Male-only membership is recognized by the bylaws and preferred by the majority of members. There are affiliated groups such as the Shriners, the Scottish Rite, the York Rite, the Demolay, Job's Daughter, and the Order of the Eastern Star, to name a few. Job's Daughter and the Eastern Star enjoy female participation and leadership. Lions Clubs are service clubs by the bylaws and mission statement. Their motto is, "We serve." Masonic lodges are fraternal organizations by the bylaws and mission statement. Their motto is, "Make good people better." Regarding the registration of new members, Lions are encouraged to bring any person they believe will be a good and cooperative worker and will act with enthusiasm and consistency. The method of finding new members in Freemasonry is different. The Masonic tradition wants a prospective member to first demonstrate an interest in Freemasonry. In fact, we have a motto that states, "To become a member, ask a member." The governance of our two major organizations. The Lions Club is an international organization founded by Melvin Jones in 1917. It has a central international governing body. Its mission is to provide service to people and communities using a basic structure. The first Grand Lodge was started in 1717 in England. It seems that 17 is a very good year to start important things. The governance of Freemasonry, although international in scope, does not have a single international governing body. Governance is carried out by individual Grand Lodges. For example, the Grand Lodge of Canada in the province of Ontario is the single governing body of all the lodges and districts in the province of Ontario, and Corona Lodge in Berks Falls is part of the Muskoka-Parry Sound Masonic District. To explain further, there is no Grand Lodge for all of Canada, and there is no Grand Lodge for all of the United States, but rather Grand Lodges for individual provinces, states, and of course many countries. The district deputy Grand Master is the Grand Master's representative in his district, similar to the district governor of a Lions Club. The Lodge Master is similar to the president of a Lions Club, however their responsibilities are quite different. Service and charity. Every community that has a Lions Club can and will be proud to showcase the work and achievements of its Lions Club. The unifying factor that unites Lions throughout the world is pride in service. Masonry refers to service as charity or benevolence, and here, although we have secret traditions, the achievements are many. The unifying factor that unites Masons throughout the world is brotherhood, based on brotherly love, help, and truth. Charity is a fundamental, basic, and primary virtue of Masonry. Masons teach that charity is the highest rung of life, and they teach us the importance of kindness and giving, personally and quietly. The exception to quiet charity is the Shrine Club, whose charitable works are well known, by the way. The Shriners would be an interesting topic for a future meeting. Lions, it is now time to discuss the secrets of Freemasonry. Contrary to popular belief, there are very few Masonic secrets. The deep, dark, terrible myths of Freemasonry being a secret society are just that, myths. First of all, we are not a secret society. Freemasonry is a fraternity with a few secrets, and I assure you that none of our secrets are harmful or evil.
Take a look around you. The people you know personally as Masons would never be members of an evil or harmful organization. In fact, the opposite is true. Loyalty to our country, to our laws, to our family, to our community, and to one another is a virtue for which we strive. Freemasonry has been labeled a cult. Many great things can be called a cult. The dictionary definition of a cult is a system of worship. It does not refer to the system as good or bad, so all religious organizations can be classified as a cult. Another definition of a cult is devotion to an idea. Therefore, it is impossible for most organizations, including the Lions Club and the Freemasons, to deny that we are a type of cult, because of the very definition of the word. Why does there have to be secrecy in today's world? Honestly, it has to do with tradition. The first secrecy that comes to mind is because Freemasonry is quite ancient. Our history is somewhat veiled and confusing even to ourselves. We are constantly searching for our roots because we do not know our true starting point. I do not deny that we have secrets that are only for us. The secrets that we do not share publicly are symbolic in nature and relate to traditions, teaching techniques, and are part of the philosophy of our core members and superiors. You see, tradition is extremely important to Freemasonry. The public will gain nothing by knowing these secrets, whereas Masons, with the help of other Masons, become better people because of the way symbols and allegories are used, cultivating a person's personal morals and virtues. In fact, many such Masonic symbols have become part of everyday communication today, for example. Are you on the level or, hello, I want equal treatment, fair opportunity, and I'm sure you have all heard faith, hope, and charity, to name a few. It is no coincidence that these publicly known Masonic symbols, or so-called secrets, refer to ethical behavior and kindness to all. There are symbols that Masons use to identify each other, no matter where in the world we visit. Like lions, we wear our lapel pins and rings very proudly, displaying the Masonic triangle and diadems. Due to Masonic tradition and timeless heritage, other means of Masonic identification remain secret. Secrets that were once essential to the protection of the community and the security of their works. They are still used to this day and are known by Masons the world over. These are secrets that are based on tradition and should never be used for dishonest purposes. Many of our secret symbols are actually written down and are open to the public. You just have to read the Mason Bible. But to be honest, only a Mason would recognize them because they are a member of the Brotherhood. We use the Bible. Does that mean that Freemasonry is a religion? No, because we are not a religion. There is, however, a requirement to become a Mason. You must believe in a supreme being. You must believe in a God, and that God will reward virtue and punish vice. Masonry encourages all Masons to follow the religion of their choice, but it does not express any preference for any particular religion. And like the Lions Club, Masonry does not allow the discussion of politics or religion at a lodge meeting. What is the history of Masonry and how did it begin? We are not sure, so I will start with the secret Freemasons during the medieval era, who were a powerful force in society and were the most important body of men in the history of civilization. Their roots are in architecture and the construction of monumental buildings all over the world. Even now, the Middle Ages are often symbolized by an image of a stone cathedral. The impact they had on society is still felt today. When new projects were started by secret Freemasonry, the first building built was a lodge, and Freemasons were called from everywhere to work. This immediately created a self-supporting community. Thus, the lodge became the school, the church, the office, and the workshop for their community. All Masons worldwide know the same symbols and mottos associated with their particular degree. They are only allowed entry into the lodge when they present to the Grand Master proof that they are Freemasons protecting the integrity and security of their work and community. They were called Freemasons because these Masons secured the right to travel freely throughout the world to perform their duty, a right granted by the kings and governors of all nations. A right based on the credentials of Freemasonry, a lifetime of learning. These Masons willingly passed on their knowledge to those who were protected by secret obligations, secret communications, and secret symbols. If you know the passwords, you know the secrets. A process of transformation began from the cooperative Masonry of builders to the Freemasonry that accepts non-builders as members. Eventually, the principles and values of Masonry evolved from being tools for professional builders to earn a living to tools for today's Masons to improve themselves, creating a university for the common man. Finally, brethren, I hope this presentation has helped you in your quest. An interesting note about tonight's message. The newest protege of Corona Lodge is the current president of the Berks Falls Lions Club. He is now one of many members of Corona Lodge who proudly wore two hats for their community. 29. This speech vividly demonstrates the connection between Lionism and Freemasonry. As in Rotary, so in the Lions, participation in the organization contradicts the principles of Christianity and poses serious dangers to spiritual life. The Church for Rotary and Lions, the Church of Greece through its competent bodies, has consistently maintained a cautious stance towards Rotary and Lions clubs, recommending that its faithful not participate in them. The following is a chronological list of the relevant statements of the Church, either synodal or through synodal committees. 1. The response, number days 500, 8500, 96 1000, 951 to Metropolitan Ambrosios of Theotis states, in response to your letter no, by which you ask whether you may, in response to a relevant invitation, participate in a festive meal hosted by the same Rotary Club, we acknowledge to you the synodal opinion that it would be good for your eminence not to participate in the said meal. 2. In the year 1958, Metropolitans Chrysostomos of Philippi and Mr. Iakovos of Sisani were assigned to present Proposal 30 on Rotary. We summarize from this proposal. Rotary is an extra-ecclesiastical organization whose teachings are based on purely rationalist theories, since none of their statutes mention God. The Rotary and their public actions are inconsistent, betraying the existence of secret theories and purposes similar to the well-known secret organizations. Regarding the registration of clergy in the ranks of the Rotary or their participation in gatherings with them, we do not hesitate to emphasize that such actions are contrary to this teaching of the Church, the preachers and champions of which teaching the clergy must be. On the one hand, the Lord declares categorically, "He who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters." Matt 12:30, Luke 11:23. On the other hand, the Apars, Paul in his letter to the Galatians 1:8 writes, "But if we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel to you than what we preach to you, let him be accursed. But if any other gospel be preached to you than what you received, let him be accursed." And elsewhere he says, 1 Timothy 6:20-21, O Timothy, guard that which is entrusted to you, turning away from the profane and empty babblings and contradictions of false knowledge. And again, do not be carried away by various and strange doctrines. Hebrews 19:9. And to Timothy again, these things teach and exhort. If he teaches otherwise and does not agree with the wholesome words of our Lord Jesus Christ, and with the teaching that accords with godliness, he is a hypocrite, not a believer, but a man of disease, having questions and disputes from which come envy, strife, blasphemies, evil suspicions, the whisperings of men of corrupt minds and destitute of the truth, supposing that they are a means of gaining godliness. 1 Timothy 6:3-5. But the sacred canons of the Church, based on the Apostle Paul's prohibition against eating with pagans and heretics, you cannot partake of the Lord's table and the table of demons. 1 Corinthians 16:21, strictly forbid such meals and condemn all those who seek the truth outside the Church of the living God, which is the pillar and ground of the truth. 1 Timothy 3:15. Therefore, our holy Church, providing for the blameless state according to Christ and the orderliness in all things of its holy clergy, must strictly prohibit its holy clergy from any relationship with the newly appeared organization of the Rotary, of which, as we said above, the mystical character is evident. If our clergy, which is unlikely, have time from the performance of their tedious and time-consuming priestly work, then they have a very wide field of employment, the field to which the Apostle Paul leads them, protesting and saying, I solemnly charge you before God and the Lord Jesus Christ, who is to judge the living and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Preach the word. Be ready in season and out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long-suffering and doctrine. 2 Tim 4:1-3. From the above we learn that one of the sacred and necessary duties of the holy clergy of our church, especially in an era when numerous men constantly rise up among us, speaking perversely and trying by every means to draw away the disciples after them, Acts 20:30, is the severe and abrupt control of the theories and teachings not only of the heretics, but also of the groups under criticism and of the others, acting insidiously and secretly, so that Orthodox Christians may understand that they must abstain from them and not allow themselves to be seduced by their deceitful networks and not seek to draw water from their poisonous wells, destruction but from the wells of the spiritual, and to drink the life-giving water provided by God, the springing up into eternal life. John 4:14. 3. In a message of the Holy Synod of the Hierarchy of the Church of Greece, 31 to the pious Greek people of the 29th of November 1958, it is stated, this organization, Rotary, has an international character based on abstract moral philosophical principles. It does not accept moral life and charity as fruits of the orthodox Christian faith, that is, of the Greek Christian tradition. every moral and social movement and life outside of Christ makes the church effective, equal sign reserved, and the hierarchy has decided to observe this effectiveness also towards the Rotary organization and to recommend to the clergy to abstain from its gatherings. 4. In response to a question from the Metropolitan of Aetolia in 1974 regarding Rotary, we read, following the recommendation of the competent Permanent Synodal Committee for Legal and Canonical Issues, that in the sense of Synodal Circular Numbers 622, 742, 690, 163.1951, in combination with the nature of the duties undertaken by the contractor to properly catechize the recipient according to orthodox doctrines and ecclesiastical traditions, the status of a person as a Rotarian, based on the existing information regarding the Rotary organization, does not constitute a guarantee of the full fulfillment of the contractor's obligations as stated. Therefore, on the basis of the above, the reservations or even refusal of any ecclesiastical official to accept as a sponsoring member of the Rotary organization can be justified as reasonable. 5. In the document number 341 in Kappa, 5856, 16.3, 1993 of the Committee on Canon Laws, the following is stated. In response to a forwarded question and proposal by His Eminence Metropolitan regarding the discreet participation of hierarchs and ecclesiastical officials in general in ceremonies and events of members of Rotary and LIONS, our committee considers that, since we have not yet received any evidence proving that the Rotarians and their related LIONS have positively clarified their position towards our Orthodox Church, the reservations regarding them are not lifted, and the ministers of the Orthodox Church do well to refrain from turning against them and supporting them. 6. In the document number 1230 NK 6563 2851,997 of the Committee on Canons, we read, in response to the document number forwarded to us by His Eminence Metropolitan of Chios, Mr. Dionysios, regarding the Pan-Hellenic Conference to be convened in Chios in the month of May of the coming year 1998 of the Rotarians of Greece as a practical concern of the Church, our committee, following what it discussed in general about the Rotary, the Lions, and the Masons, considers that the question of His Eminence Metropolitan regarding the position to be observed by the local and the general Church in cases of conferences of the said Masonic offshoots, there can be no other answer than the indication of the effort and mobilization on the part of the ecclesiastical side to thwart such conferences in his province. 7. In the document numbers 1371, K. 6569, 2851,997 of the Committee on Canon Laws, it is stated, in response to the document, NAU/1997, forwarded to us by His Eminence Metropolitan, concerning the position of our Church towards the Lions, our committee taking into account the submitted views of His Eminence Metropolitan of Corinth, Mr. Pantaleimon, as well as the relevant reservations of His Eminence, the Ecumenical Patriarch, Mr. Bartholomew, against the Rotarians, the Lions, and the Masons, considers that all of them should be collectively excluded from ecclesiastical services in general, such as the Hierosalon, the Ecclesiastical Commissioner, etc. However, the Holy and Sacred Synod of our Church is appropriate to take an explicit prohibitive stance against them, announced in a circular as the position of the Church, after study and a documented submission of the Council on Heresies. 8 number 3380 2327 2610 2016 response of the Archbishop of Athens to a question from the Metropolitan of Chios, following a synodal decision taken during the meeting of November 10, 2016, it is stated, regarding the organization of the Rotary, what is stated in a relevant document of the Holy Synod, dated March 6, 1951, and in the recommendations and proposals of the Synodal Committee on Dogmatic and Legal Issues, dated March 16, 1993, and May 28, 1997, twice, by which it is recommended that those belonging to such organizations should all of them be excluded from ecclesiastical services in general, such as the Hierosalto, the Ecclesiastical Commissioner, etc. It should be noted that the reserved disposition of the Church towards the organization in question is reinforced, since it has been published in Masonic sources, without being denied that the founder of Rotary, Paul Harris, was a Mason. Regarding the Lions, there are also the following documents. 9. Document number 341 in Kappa, 5856, 16.3, 1993 of the Committee on Canon Laws. In response to a forwarded question and proposal by His Eminence Metropolitan regarding the discreet participation of hierarchs and ecclesiastical officials in general in ceremonies and events of those belonging to Rotary and the LIONS. Our committee considers that, since we have not yet received any evidence proving that the Rotarians and the LIONS related to them have positively clarified their position towards our Orthodox Church, the reservations regarding them are not lifted, and the ministers of the Orthodox Church do well to refrain from turning against them and supporting them. 10. No. 1,371. NK 6,569. 28-5-1997 document of the Canonical Committee. In response to the document of His Eminence Metropolitan concerning the position of our Church towards the Lions, our committee, taking into account the submitted views of His Eminence Metropolitan of Corinth, Mr. Pantaleimon, as well as the relevant reservations of His Eminence the Ecumenical Patriarch, Mr. Bartholomew, against the Rotarians, the Lions, and the Masons, considers that all of them should be collectively excluded from ecclesiastical services in general, such as the Hierosolon, the Ecclesiastical Commissioner, etc. However, the Holy and Sacred Synod of our Church is appropriate to take an explicit prohibitive stance against them, announced in a circular, as the position of the Church, after study and a documented submission of the Council on Heresies. 11. Document number 2839, NK 6754, 610-1998 of the Committee on Legal Regulations, regarding the memorandum forwarded to us by the International Organization of Lions Clubs, requesting the cooperation of His Beatitude, the Archbishop, and the Holy Synod of the Church of Greece, our committee, taking into account that there is no evidence known to us that the Lions have clarified their position towards the Orthodox Church. And moreover, the reservations of the ATP are known, of the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew towards them, formulated in his address during their visit to Phenarion, reverently suggests that under such circumstances cooperation is not appropriate, and only when there are clear indications of their faith will the Church's reservation towards them be able to be revised. 12. Document number 897-93, 2006 of the Synodal Committee on Heresies. The committee dealt with a request from the Lions organization, and after discussion came to the following findings. A. The committee studied the attached minutes of the 83rd session of July 12, 2004. B. It also studied earlier relevant documents of the Synodal Committee on Doctrinal and Canonical Issues from the 16th of March 1993, the 28th of May 1997, and June 10, 1998. C. It was established that the Lions organization did not respond to the letter of the 19th of May 1993 from the Holy Synod, by which, on the occasion of questions submitted to it, clarifications were sought on the principles of the organization. After a discussion, it is unanimously decided that, since the requested clarifications have not been provided, A. The above decisions of the Committee on Dogmatic and Legal Issues remain in force, and B. The same Synodal Committee on Dogmatic and Legal Issues is competent to review its decisions. 13. The most recent reference by the Church of Greece to the Rotary and Lions organizations took place on Wednesday, June 3, 2020, where the Permanent Holy Synod, among other things, decided to recommend by circular note to His Eminence the Metropolitans and the Holy Clergy of the Church of Greece to abstain from any event organized by the Rotary and Lions organizations, because they are not limited only to social events, but also extend to acts of a religious nature, since they have a formal ritual for the admission of new members, and specify a prayer that is addressed non-dogmatically to a god, in the general sense of the term, and not according to our Orthodox Christian faith. 32. 1favosity.com. 2. This is the idol of the Canaanite god to whom children were sacrificed, sometimes even by apostate Jews, as we read in the Old Testament. 3. Freemasonry.bcy.krc. 4. favosity.com. 5. Dictionary of Greek Freemasonry, Volume 2, p. 89, and Volume 2 of the 2-volume work by Michael Vicentides, Eminent and Famous Greek Freemasons, p. 304. 6n. Saurodakis, Dark Forces and Christianity, p. 155 footnote 7 Orthodox Press, issue no. 189, 190, 1973, p. 12 8 Orthodox Press, issue number 186, 1973, p. 3. 9 article by Monk Avakiou in the Orthodox Press, issue 2144, December 16, 2016, p. 7. 10 International Masonic Order, Delphi, Founding Declaration, DelphiOrder.org, and a publication of the Rotary Club of Chania, For the 34th time, Ermodelakis is president. Kriti360.gra11 flickr.com. 12 indirect reference from the article. Zeitströmungen, 2001. By Baldur Scheidler here. Außerlängemeinde.d. It is written in the book Die Freimaurer by Jürgen Lenhoff. It is mentioned that in the USA there are lodges for Rotarians, among others, and also for members of the YMCA CVJM. 13 Facebook.com. 14 Nottingham Rotary Lodge, number 3941, founded 1919. The North Notts Rotary Lodge, the Rotary Lodge of Suffolk, number 9306. East Lancashire Rotary Lodge, number 9359. The Rotary Lodge of Norfolk, number 9367. The Rotarian Lodge of Hong Kong, number 9378, and the Rotary Lodge of Hampshire, number 9389. 15 Facebook.com. 16. There is information about this person in Yermak's book, Zionism, the Fifth Deadly Night of the Apocalypse, which quotes an excerpt from an interview with Esposito, published in the Masonic magazine Pythagoras, volume 13/14 of 1979. 17. Esposito's original French text appears in the conservative and anti-modernist Second Vatican Council Roman Catholic journal Sodalitium, number 42, p. 41. Le Père Esposito recalls the Maconique spirit of Rotary, and one could say so many similar associations, with these luminous words. The relationship existing between this organization and the Masonry is structural, not only because of its foundation, on February 23, 1905, by the lawyer Paul P. Harris from Chicago and 3 of his fellow Masons, but also because of the ideological and legal imprint of the club, which gives the best message in the message initiatique, pour l'insérer dans la société en les laissant. C'est-à-dire en excluant les aspects contraignants et initiatiques, lesquels en excluant toujours nettement la confessionnalité religieuse ont un certain caractère sacré, quoique, like 18 volume, 5p, 3198-19. Freemasonry has also provided a working structure or model for secret organizations. During the 19th century, many new fraternal orders were created that in some way were derivative of Freemasonry. The Knights of Columbus is a Masonic-like order for Catholics only, and the Order of B'nai B'rith has a Jewish clientele. There is an endless list of these, including Odd Fellows, Elks, Moose, Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions, and Eagles. Even such occult groups as Garian Witchcraft, the Theosophical Society, and the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn are not without Masonic influence. 20macrotary.org specifically, here. clubrunner.blob.core. Windows.net, see also relevant photo. 21 biography here. Biblianet.gra. 22 Aristophanes D. Zampakidis, professor of the Higher Ecclesiastical School of Crete. Concept, character, origin, history, and techniques of apocrytism. Impantocratoros.gra. 23 1908 to 1991. Brother of former French President François Mitterrand and leader of French Freemasonry for many years. 24web.archive.org, 25web.archive.org, 26e-clubhouse.org, 27 Lions, Clubs International, What You Would Like to Know. The 13th of January 2004, edited by L. Rea Eleftheria Kakavatsu, Public Relations Manager of the Lions Club. Knossos, January, the month of the founders and the Oath of Allegiance. How the idea of Lionism began. Archive.patris.gr, 28. The Whole Truth About Freemasonry, Ioannou Papas, Cardinals Publications, 29web.archive.org, 30 Minutes of the 13th Synod of the Hierarchy of the Church of Greece, Athens, 1959, pp. 284, 295, 31 Church Magazine, No. 24, the 20th of December 1958, p. 486, Recommendation to Abstain from Rotary Gatherings, 32, ecclesia.gr,